Welcome to the Wise Guys podcast, where we unleash the unthinkable and step over the line to help us see things differently, go to the inside edge and stimulate new thinking and new realities that hopefully implant a promise, an alternative, and an energized hope. You know, we might even answer some questions you haven't thought to ask. That'd be even more fun, wouldn't it? So hi, I'm Mac, your host, and in this episode, we're going to use the analogy of alchemy, and that might be a foreign word to a lot of you, so don't run for the hills now, okay? Just hang with us, okay? We're going to use the analogy of alchemy to examine how we can process our own transformation. And here's part of the deal. Here's what came to me as we were doing this. If we're going to transform, we've got to make a transition between just information and we got to go to inspiration. And we're hopefully, we're going to do that for you tonight. So you like that, guys? Transformation, information, inspiration.
What I love is that you putting the responsibility into my hands tonight. Oh. That I am more powerful than I ever thought myself to be. I don't need somebody outside of me to transform. I love that.
Oh, well, wait a minute. I got a response to that.
Thank you very much.
I love it. Wow.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good to see you, Coach.
Hey,
Good.
Mac.
And so I got Stu. I got
Yep.
the Rev.
Yep.
Man, here we are.
Here
Hi,
we
guys.
are. Here we are. So I got to tell you something. I don't think you guys know this about me. I have a tattoo. Okay.
Okay.
My tattoo. You ready for this? Stands for, because they're Asian symbols that stand for the word transformation.
Oh. Well,
We got the right guy in the right seat tonight.
Wait. I only have one response to that.
What's that?
Of course.
Of course it does.
Yeah, my only response is I don't know if I want to see where it is on your body.
When I got it, I had no idea how that was going to be used in my life, but apparently my subconscious
there
knew.
it is. Okay, you were already on the journey, man. You were already
there
on
we
the
go.
journey.
So let me say hello to all you beautiful exotic cocktails out there.
Hey,
Are you ready
Rovers.
to be transformed?
Yeah. So hope you go on this journey with us. Yeah, that's
it's
going to
fun.
be great. So again, we're going to talk alchemy, but you know what? We're going to add a little bit of flavor to that because you can look up alchemy, on the internet, right? Google it, right? You'll get the whole history of alchemy and all of that kind of stuff. And we entitled this episode "Lead into Gold." And so that's going to be your typical thing that you're probably going to find out there, that alchemists, at least, in the Middle Ages and even way back, even to Egyptians, we're looking to transform lead into gold. I mean, that kind of was the default way to describe it. So I'm going to read a definition.
Well, and you
for
might draw parallel water into wine.
Oh, look at you.
Oh, there we go. That might we've heard of that before. I think
I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah. So we're going to go sacred. We're also going to introduce the idea that alchemy for us is sacred. And again, we'll kind of elaborate on that a little bit, but we're going to go past the five senses, if you will, and we're going to move into a more sacred realm of how we're going to transform in alchemy. So, that's going to be kind of cool. All right. So Stu's already introduced everybody. If you're on watching us, the video, we're going to try to put a video out this week. Okay. About our episode here. We got some new merch. It's kind of cool. And everybody, is customized. All three of us, we got one. We love our little sayings on the back. So it's going to be fun. We love this, so we're going to put a little plug in for that. And then, of course, we got to do our, I don't really look upon myself as a redneck. I mean, I'm really...
No, you
I'm
don't classify.
really not.
I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that, right? But here's the thing, Natalie...
You were a redneck for a little while when you were going through those treatments.
That's for sure. And I had to have please, you're right about that. But, every once in a while, something comes and it makes me think that maybe I am, because Natalie told me to load the dishwasher the other day. Mm-hmm. And I thought she meant getting her drunk. Okay, I couldn't quite. So I didn't understand that, but
A redneck would say.
oh, she's
How long
gonna-
before she moves back in?
Oh, my
Or you
God, yeah.
move back in?
I move
Right,
back
yeah.
in. Yeah, at least I come out of the basement anyway.
Are we renting this space tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm on really touchy ground right now. So no, she loves me, so it's not a problem.
Oh, my gosh.
So anyway, guys, let's dig in. Let's start to talk about lead into gold, or the alchemic. Is that a word? Alchemic? I don't know.
can be.
You understand? I just made it. If it's not, process. Right? But let's define alchemy just as you might go to the dictionary, first off, and then we can kind of, play upon that.
Okay.
So alchemy, the medieval, and that's really kind of what we think, that period of time, the medieval chemical science and speculative philosophy. So it's not only a science, but it's also a philosophy whose aims were the transmutation, ooh, that's a big word, right? Of the base metals into gold, typically lead, all right? The discovery and the discovery of a universal cure for diseases, and the discovery of a means of indefinitely prolonging life.
Oh, there you go.
Pretty challenging, mission right there, right? So you got three things. You got the gold or the base metal into gold, cure for diseases, and indefinitely prolonging life. So there's
I plan to live forever. So far, so good.
You're on
working.
that path so far, right? Okay. Ooh, that would be a long time, wouldn't it? Oh my goodness.
That definition makes a lot of sense, knowing that I read a lot of fantasy books. This is always talked about in the fantasy realm.
Yeah, right. Whether you're an
for sure.
elf and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
right? You got the whole long life thing.
Cure for yeah, right.
Okay, yeah. By the way, that's back. The Power of the Rings and all that. That's on. We were watching that the other night.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Well, it's not Lord of the Rings. It's Power. What's it called? There's a new series out pre Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Okay.
Prequel. Got it.
Yeah, it's really good. Really
Okay.
good. So alchemy, there it is. All right, that's what they were trying to do. All right, and a lot of them got in a lot of trouble for it, quite frankly, especially with the church. But we're going to kind of press into both the tangible, if you will, and the intangible. If you really want to get into this topic, I'm going to suggest that you go to a metaphysical place as well, beyond the physical, metaphysical, because there's so much to this, I'm going to say science and philosophy, all right, that if we're going to call it sacred, you're really going to understand it better, you're going to be able to enter into it better, and it's going to have a greater effect on you if you also incorporate the metaphysical. And, that may be a little foreign to you. Right?
Well, taking your definition and where you want to go with it, you got to begin to build a bridge. What you're looking at is taking what appears to be worthless and creating value. That which appears to be finite and creating it as infinite.
Yes.
That which appears to be absolutely worthless and absolutely turning it into something magical and beautiful and holy. And it's whether it's done in the physical or in the spiritual, it's all the same thing. It's the recognition of value that maybe existed, the potential and the possibility of value that always was there but was missed.
Yeah, I love that.
So
there it is.
If
Yes.
I may,
Yes.
I don't always comment after the rev because
Your
it
head's
never
swimming.
works out good for me.
My head's
but-
swimming, yeah, I know. Yeah.
So another way that an expanded definition of what you just described could be that it could be worthless, but it could be something that was had worth to you, but it's no longer needed, right? So now you're transitioning or transforming it into something else.
Yeah.
Get what I'm saying?
Like it just
no longer serves you now. It served me at one point. It no longer serves me now.
Right.
But I transform it into something, as the Rev said so eloquently,
Yes,
beautiful.
he
Well,
did.
individually and collectively, the world has said lead is not valuable, but gold is. Somebody
Right.
just made up a decision.
Yes.
What if we just decided lead is valuable? What I've got right in my hands and my life and my experience is of value, and I'm going to use it for something good.
Right. And even if I might, or you might think others, which that's a whole nother issue, okay? But the point being, you might think yourself as lead, right?
I've been there.
Yeah, that maybe you just don't have any worth, that you're just, not able to be used for anything positive or constructive. And here's a wake-up call for you, Rogers. That's wrong. You have incredible worth and value right now. And you may be a little leady. Hang on a minute. I'm making up words tonight.
He ain't Letty. He's my brother.
Oh, boy. I'm just digging it deeper and deeper here. All right. So your life may be a bit more leaden and weighed down than you would like it to be. All right. We all been there. Maybe, maybe you're there right now. And this episode may help you to move beyond that and give you some perspective and give you some methods by which you can help to transform yourself and be a little more shiny and be a little bit more goldy. There we go again.
Wow, you're just going for it. But I think that's a good thing. You're inviting the listener into a view that we have of you, a truth that we know about you.
Yes.
And you may have believed for the last 100 years that you're worthless and invaluable. Just suspend that thought for a moment and recognize the view that we're putting through these microphones right now.
Absolutely.
There are no throwaway people on the planet. And the great alchemist of all time, Jesus, absolutely knew that. He came and demonstrated that and turned beautiful things out of condition that appeared to be worthless, and people that appeared to be worthless, he saw the value, he called it out. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Not that I'm putting myself on a playing field with Jesus, but
Okay.
we're absolutely using the spiritual sight to transform the physical conditions.
Well, I would say that the people Jesus chose were lead. And he transformed them to gold. But I don't think he selected any
They were a bunch of
golden
knuckleheads
people.
for the most part, right? They
Band of misfits, right?
They saw the gold when they couldn't see it for themselves.
For sure.
But yeah, they were really
sure.
leady, as Mac might put it.
Well, I'm going to use another word because I'm looking at this sign right now. Last week we had a little mechanical breakdown, and so if you listened to our episode last week, it sounded kind of like we were in a tunnel, or it was a little echoey. But I'm looking at it right now. I think those disciples, a good word to maybe describe them was they were putzes.
Oh, man.
Don't you think?
Well,
I don't know. They just, they just weren't getting it for the longest time. But Jesus knew that. I mean,
they didn't know any different than what they
right.
knew.
That's right. They would just, they came from a place that was, and somebody asked me this a long time ago. I'm trying to think about what is it about, say, Christianity, right, that, is a challenge, or people don't get it, or or whatever it might look like. And the word I used was, I think one of the main reasons is they were ignorant. And that doesn't mean stupid. Mm-mm. That doesn't mean...
They just didn't know.
That's
is what
right.
You're saying.
They just didn't have the knowledge. Right. They didn't have the, oh my gosh, I never heard that before. Okay?
I was blind,
yeah.
but now I see.
There. On the one hand, let me put it this way. On the one hand, that's not your fault, but it kind of is too. And here's why I say that. You don't know what you don't know, all right? But why don't you know it, okay? Why have you been willing to expand, your field of vision, your worldview, your way of looking at things? Have you been active about that? Or have you kind of just been huddled up in the bubble? And the biggest reason why you don't know is because you haven't even bothered to ask, okay?
Very true.
So, let's accept the responsibility. Rev was talking about that in the very beginning, okay? Accept the responsibility for wherever it is you're at. And again, we're not saying that's not beautiful. We're saying, and that's not the point. But the point is, you could expand and you could be transforming. That's your choice, right?
And you're transforming from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yeah,
so many people are waiting around for something to happen outside of them for the transformation to happen.
Yeah.
Nope. The caterpillar's got to feel it on the inside, got to feel its butterflyness first on the inside. Then it does what it needs to do to get into action.
There's a rev word, butterflyness.
Transform your leadness into butterflyness.
We need that on a shirt, I think.
Butterflyness. I love it.
I like it.
So, again, lead. Lead is valuable in and of itself. What do we make lead out of? Batteries? There's certain lead crystal, right? Weights. Stew's,
I'm lifting some lead.
Hello, there it is. Okay. And there's certain toxic things, radioactiveness and all this kind of stuff that gets put in a lead container to help contain it. Okay. But as we said before, lead can certainly be toxic. They've been through that whole thing with the paint and
Can be, yeah.
all that kind of deal. So we get that. All right. And I'm going to venture to say, because I just know myself, that as I'm in any condition, but even when I'm kind of down there, on the periodic table, all right, I'm toxic to a certain extent. Okay, I have that toxicity in me for whatever that looks like for you, and we can do better with that. Each in our, as Rev was saying, it's from the inside out. So how do you transform that toxicity into something more beautiful?
I've got this image, and I don't know if it's really lead, but they in school, those of us of a certain age said, pick up your number 2 lead pencil.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you use that to write and to create and to make something new. That pencil was absolutely valuable. And what you created from the lead was a manuscript, a poem, a story that was more valuable than the lead itself. But it was a necessary tool to create the better, to create the good.
I like that.
So what's the story you're writing? You have out of your leadness, what is the story you're writing from that experience that is something more beautiful and profound?
Well, and I've even heard, I can't remember exactly, maybe you guys remember this, but I remember people talking about a pencil and how there's just no way you can make a pencil, if you will. I mean, a person can't. It needs a machine. It needs a, if you're going to put that thing in the middle of wood and all that kind of deal. I mean, it's a really amazing tool. Okay, when you think about it,
it's an amazing tool until it's a useless tool until you sharpen it.
Or you pick it up.
You get a pencil that's just been made from the machines and the manufacturing. What are you going to use it for? Throw it at somebody. That's about what it's good for. It's easily broken, but you sharpen that. You're the one responsible for sharpening it. Look out. Creativity will pour.
I think this wasn't initially part of what I had, but I'm loving where this is going, guys.
Oh, yeah.
This is great. This is cool.
My specialty is bunny trails.
That's all right. This is really, really cool. I hope you guys are enjoying this out there because I am. I'm learning a lot.
Get your pencils out and take notes.
Let's stay there. It is. Come on. All right. So lead, gold. We all know about gold. So I don't spend a lot of time on that. We value gold as a currency and jewelry as an investment. Right? Awards and medals are made out of gold. So, I mean, the world for millennia has valued gold. All right. And part of the reason is that it's in shorter supply, although, we keep digging for it, but it's not, there's just not tons of it, or else the value would drop. All right. But gold. So you can aspire to some of these nice, bright, shiny, beautiful, more beautiful, places that you can go, and use gold just as a, again, as just sort of a, what's an analogy about how you're growing.
It's like a metaphor, right?
Yeah.
It's a more beautiful you, Mac.
Yeah. There you go.
The goldness of you. It's a more beautiful you.
The goldness. I'll probably have to put that in a meme or something like that. So.
You're the recipient of the Golden Mac Award.
Mystic Mac Nuggets. We made them.
That's true.
Golden. Remember that? Okay.
They were.
But here's another fun part about all this. We're made up of all these elements, right? I mean, we are part of the cosmos, right? We're made up of atoms of all these different elements. So the cool thing to me is we're all one. It's all one. It just might be a degree of concentration, maybe. Okay, but it's more than zero. Right?
I think I still have some lead in me from little Bobby Johnson in the kindergarten in my right leg.
There it is. So
I'm going to transform that in the gold. I'll have a golden leg.
I'm going to transform him. Yeah.
So at the risk of being blasphemous here a little bit, so
Here we go.
we're not all that God or the universe is, but all of the universe, all of God exists within us. The possibility, the lead, the gold, the silver, everything in between, it exists at the point of you, the point of me, the point of us.
Yeah, that's the ocean,
Exactly.
analogy, right? That a drop of the ocean is not the ocean, but
Not even close.
But everything in the ocean's in the drop. So
Yeah.
it's a really cool thing. All right, well, Bobby who? What was his name?
Bobby Johnson.
Bobby Johnson. With Bobby Johnson and us just taking a break to dig a little bit of lead out of Stu's leg.
That's right.
We're going to come back.
I think it's where his tattoo is.
Could be. So thanks for listening to the first half. We're going to be right back after a little bit. Hang on.
Like what you hear so far? Join us in the Rogue Nation by going to our website, www.gorogue.life, where you will find links to our social media and podcast channels, posts on the Seeing Differently blog, and a way to subscribe to all our happenings. We encourage you to become a member of our cafe, where you can interact with us and fellow Roguers and keep the conversation going. Please share us and like us. And now, let's get back to our wise guys.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's Mac, and we're doing the Wise Guys podcast, where in this episode, we are talking about transforming alchemy, if you will, kind of synonymous, lead into gold. So hopefully you've enjoyed the first half of what we've been talking about, how we try to frame it and put it in perspective. Now maybe let's kind of talk about, well, how's that happen? What's that? What might that look like in my life or your life? If you're saying to yourself right now, which I hope you kind of are, okay, I like this. I never looked at it that way, but you know what? I could use a little bit more gold in my life and maybe kind of a little less lead. All right. So what do I do about that? How do I manage it?
Give me the how. I want the how.
There we go.
I know the what.
All right. So here's the how. There's a little process that alchemists go through, and we've tweaked it, wise guy-y. There's another one of my great words. Okay. We've tweaked it a bit based upon our view and our history and who each individually are. So here we go. Let's, part number one, step number one. Let's use it that way. The breakdown. All right. So we, just like they tried to take lead and break it down into its base component, if you will. Something is atoms that they could transform. So in our own life, we need to kind of break ourselves down a little bit, whether the world is doing it for us, in the midst of, or you're taking a little more proactive and you're really kind of, doing a work on yourself. And again, to break down some of your paradigms, to break down some of your worldview, to break down some of your biases so that you can open yourself up to something else. Right.
So when I thought about this, this is identifying limiting beliefs that you have. To me,
okay,
right?
All right.
So you can start by recognizing the beliefs, patterns, etc., that no longer serve you.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Just ask the question, right?
And I mean, it could be things like, when I think about this, it could be like fear. Like, that doesn't serve me, right?
Right.
It could be like self-doubt, maybe negative self-talk. We actually mentioned that a little bit in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's kind of where I see like burning away your old self, kind of.
A little purging, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So you're sort of asking yourself the question, what doesn't serve me? Mm-hmm. And if you can come up with those things. But let's take that a little bit further, Stu. Mm-hmm. As you live life, as you speak things, as you have encounters with others, continue to ask the question, did that action, did that conversation, all right, did that response, did that serve me well? Did that serve us well? I mean, kind of go along the way and sort of evaluate yourself and where you're coming from along the way, as opposed to just trying to sit down and make a list, which is okay too. You know?
It sounds like you're talking about an intentional breakdown.
Yeah.
I'm intentionally taking and dissecting my life and my thoughts and my everything in my life. I'm just pulling it apart. I'm intentionally breaking down to break through.
There you
to
go.
break free from those things that are keeping me from being my goldenness.
Right.
So it's really taking stock, inventory of everything in my life up to this moment and keeping what I want to keep and just getting rid of the rest.
Wow.
And when you do that, when you take that away, you begin to make space for something greater. I would call that God. I don't care what you call it, but it's more golden than what you have lived and breathed up to that point.
You know, I've done this. And when I was going through my personal growth junkie phase, which what that means is read every book you possibly can and go to every weekend seminar you can, right? To learn more about myself. Like, it really was for me about confronting painful memories that I had and dealing with unresolved issues. Mm-hmm. And once I would, that was kind of the breakdown. Like, once I was able to acknowledge it, I may not even known they were there.
Right.
Like, what do we say at the beginning of the podcast, of these episodes? Every time we say, we're going to answer some questions you may not even realize you have, right? So you may not even know it's there, but once it comes out, then you can start to deal with it.
Well, that's
right?
a great point.
You can
Steve.
kind of,
Yeah.
But you got to be able to surrender control, man. Like, if you don't do that, if you try to maintain control of what's going on and what you're feeling and your emotions and your thoughts, it's not going to be as good as it can be.
You got to be willing to go face to face in the mirror with yourself and be willing to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly and go, okay, what do I keep? What do I get rid of? And I'm going to humble myself and be vulnerable enough to allow God in by removing those things that no longer serve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a great point. We're getting into point number, quote 3, at least on the list, about self-reflection. And Rev just said it. Let what needs to go.
Yeah.
And let what needs to come come. And again, we're first ones to admit that's really easy to say. We get that, okay? But regardless, if it's easy to say and it may be not easy to do it. All right? It matters. It will make a difference.
It makes the space necessary for transformation to happen. And that, again, I'm going to call it God, but Rumi is one of my great guys.
You sure?
And he talks about God as the master alchemist, the energy and the power that transforms. And this is what he wrote. You come to us from another world, from beyond, the stars and a void of space, transcendent, pure, of unimaginable beauty.
Yes.
You transform all who are touched by you. Mundane concerns, troubles, and sorrows dissolve in your presence, bringing joy to ruler and ruled, to peasants and kings. You bewilder us with your grace, and all evil is transformed into goodness. You are the master alchemist. This is the awe and wonder of getting my bloated nothingness, my humanness out of the way so that God can work with me and transform me in ways I can't even imagine.
Right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa. Of course, Rumi is amazing. Thanks, Rev. That's just so beautiful. And how many of us, Christians in particular, but Jewish people too, or those that practice, Islam, when you talk about God and the character qualities of God, we want to go to the typicals, right? Oh, love and, other, life and other different things, but I don't think I've ever used the word alchemist to describe God, but I think it's beautiful because at the core of it, I think Jesus brought that into the world, and you're right, he was a master alchemist, using the power of the Spirit of God, like you're talking about, man. Oh, that's such a beautiful picture. I love it.
I don't know if this is even relevant, but what popped into my head is any sculptor, right?
Right.
You stick a block of whatever, marble, stone, you name it, right? They don't see the block.
Right.
They have their vision of what is underneath it. And so what are they doing? They're chipping away
What doesn't belong.
What no longer serves that block to make something beautiful. That's kind of how I'm seeing this.
That's
Michelangelo was quoted. That's exactly what you said. How did you create the beautiful David? And he said, I just simply removed everything that wasn't David.
Yes, I love that.
You
So
know?
that's kind of how I see what we're doing.
I think it's great,
Like,
man. That's awesome.
I mean, it may have been a part of you, and like I said, it no longer serves you. So
Yeah.
let's chip it off, and
right.
now you're some beautiful butterfly, as the
My
rep
That's
said
right.
earlier.
Mr. Eckhart said that God will not be
Yeah.
found in the soul with a process of addition. And we're so worried about adding, another workshop, another book, another this, but it's by a process of subtraction.
Very true. Oh, that is beautiful. That's so true. And and what I think a lot of times that we need in this alchemic process is we're going to have to die a little bit to our five senses. They serve us. They're there for a reason. They help us navigate life and all of that. I mean, all that good stuff. But if we solely depend upon our five senses, then we are going to be very limited in the way that we'll look at the world, others, the universe, because we're human and we're finite with all of those senses.
If
right?
we're only depending on our five senses, we are edging God out of our existence. And what is edging God out? EGO, ego.
We can all remember that.
that might be a meme.
I like it.
There we go. I love
It's
that.
not mine. I've stolen it.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We're just sharing it. We're passing it along.
So here we are. Yeah. So in all of this, and I think we've kind of led ourselves to this place, even if we haven't said it directly, and that is you have to start incorporating new thinking into the equation I'm going to use the word and new non-thinking. All right? And you're probably saying to me,
Yeah.
Mac, what the hell?
I was just going to ask, what does that
What are
mean?
you talking about? Okay.
Non-thinking.
So, there's a book written in I think the 13th century, maybe something like that, called The Cloud of Unknowing. And many mystics since that time have referenced it and built upon it. And again, the premise behind it was if you are constantly thinking about stuff, it's finite, right? Because it's only based upon what you can conjure up. That's it. But if you will go to a place of unthinking, quiet your mind, quiet your brain, quiet your perceptions, all the stuff that you come into the equation with, now you've given the universe, God, the spirit, there's a vacuum there, all right?
Thought is the tool. Thought is the vehicle. It is not and never will be the destination. Eventually, you're going to think. You got to stop thinking and just be.
Right.
And that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely. The magic. Understand this. The part of alchemy, woo-woo. Shall we use the word magic? Okay. I think we can. Without having
And if you
everybody-
don't like the word magic, that's where the mystery happens. That's where
Mystery.
God happens. That's where love happens.
I love the word magic, though. That kind of just,
When coaching, I'm pretty sure I've said this phrase: "Stop thinking, just do."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes your thinking can stop you from doing.
Right. Well, but doing the right thing, right? Whether it's, in wrestling, it doesn't matter, any kind of sport, you name it. If you're going to do the right thing without thinking, then there needs to be a cultivation process prior to, in order for you to develop that sensitivity, that intuition, whatever it might be that comes naturally, often isn't natural to you. It can be natural to the spirit that's in you, but you got to get out of the way. You know, I mean, but it's really cool when you do. All right, believe me, it opens up a whole new vista. All right.
So we're talking about rebuilding right now. Like we've torn ourselves down, for lack of better phrasing, and now we're rebuilding.
Yep.
Is where we're getting
exactly
to, right.
Right.
So I don't want to lose sight of that. There were probably some positive aspects of who you are that you don't want to get rid of,
Yep.
right?
Sure,
So it's not
sure.
like you're just ripping it all down and starting from scratch. You're just going to integrate those things that were positive about you into your new insight, your new behaviors and attitudes that you have now.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, as you're
Sure.
rebuilding.
Sure.
So I think of things like there's got to be like a balance, like a harmonious balance, right? Like masculine, feminine.
Oh,
right?
we talked about that last week, didn't we? Yeah.
And how about like rational thoughts and like emotional thoughts? You know, like you got to balance those out. Conscious, your unconscious, subconscious, right? Like there's a balance, right?
Right.
There can't be good without bad, you know. So there's a balance.
What if we have no good or bad? If it's all just energy, it's
Just is.
isness, it's pure possibility and potential, and it's how we use it. And I like to use the analogy of fire. Is fire good or bad? It's nothing until you either are conscious or unconscious. Fire consciously used is the most incredible force on the planet. You go unconscious with fire in your hand, somebody's going to get burned.
Yeah.
Probably
That's
you.
true.
So it's not good
Yeah.
or bad. It's just staying awake to the pure possibilities. So can I be like a master alchemist, a transformer, to say, here's the energy. I don't want to choose to use this energy in this way. I'm going to do it a different way.
Yeah.
But it's the same energy. It was maybe used for a bad purpose or didn't show up because I was asleep. Now I'm going to use that same energy for something better,
Right.
something more beautiful. Electricity, is it good or is it bad? It's neither. But boy, it can be good or bad based on you being awake.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we go back to the alchemy, let's just kind of get back to the beginning of what we were talking about today. We're talking about transforming, right? And that lead, if we're going to use that analogy, that lead had atoms. And molecules. I mean, it was made up of the same little building blocks that gold is. They were just trying to figure out how to reconfigure it in order for it to go from A to B, you know? And they didn't know what else they might have to add to it. Maybe, you know, but the point was all the old stuff didn't go away. And
That's what I'm
where
talking
you were
about.
coming
Yeah,
from.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So again, it's let whatever needs to go, and let whatever needs to come, but not the whole 100%. So
Right.
that's a great
What
point.
if none of it needs to go? None of it
Could
needs to
be.
go. It's just a matter of channeling it differently.
That's good. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned transforming it. Well, that's a transformer. Let's go that electricity. You're just transforming it for a different use. So nothing's really taken away. It's just molded back to the clay. You got clay. I made something. You know, in school, I could make nothing out of clay. I'd make ashtrays, and
Ashtray.
nobody in my family smoked. But at any moment, I can change my mind. I'm going to form that clay into a turtle now. No, tomorrow I'm going to take that same clay, the same components, and I'm going to make a swan out of it. But I get to make it's the same material. I'm just forming it differently. So my life is like that.
There's an example though of stopping thinking, okay? Because we default to certain thought patterns, all right? The way we want to connect the dots, all right? And that's where the unknowing needs to come in. That we have to, put those to the side and let some new stuff and let some new vision and let some just like the Rev was. I mean, how many of you out there right now, when the Rev was talking about it in that way, go, oh yeah, I get that. I've been doing that. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Now maybe some of you. I mean, great if some of you have, but we were around people all the time, and most of the time that's brand new news, or at least that's a brand new perspective.
I'm not a victim of my current reality. I'm not a victim of the choices I made yesterday. I'm not a victim of anything that's happening in my life because I am the veritable transformer into something new and holy and sacred.
Right.
So that's how powerful you are.
Sure. Oh yeah. Well, part of the process as well is just start to adopt practices that cultivate this newness. It might be contemplation. It might be reading something new. It might be getting into a group of people. Whatever it might be. But here's the bottom line point: something different than what you're doing now. You got to enter something into the equation, or guess what? I mean, everything's just going to stay the same, right? I mean, hello, this isn't rocket science here, right? So that's part of the process, right? And then part of it also is, and we've talked about this, everything is beautiful, but you got to learn to love the dragon. You are all kinds of beautiful things that also include some things that you may not be all that happy with or whatever, right? So again, as the Rev was talking about, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting rid of stuff. It doesn't mean you're throwing it out. It just means maybe you have a little different perspective about it.
I know I'm talking a lot, but I got to get Emmett Fox in here. He's another one of my go-tos. What you said, love the dragon, this is it right here. There is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer. No disease that enough love will not heal, no door that enough love will not open. It makes no difference how deep set the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, or how muddled the tangle, or how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all. We love ourselves into transformation. We don't beat ourselves up to it. To love the dragon.
There we go. There's a great compliment
Yeah.
right there, isn't it? So, And then lastly, we're just going to talk about the last little thing in the process is this. You're going to be sort of a new you. Not 100%. As again, we're talking about keeping components. Everybody's different, all right? But the point is, if you're transformed, you're going to be different, right? You're just going to be you're going to be a new you. And so now you have to come to grips with that. I mean, we're going to say it's going to be good, all right? I mean, it's a positive transformation, right? But now you're going to have to adapt you, the new you, the way you think, the way you talk, the way you act. To the degree that you're going to still be in the same. Your job's still going to be the same. Your marriage is still going to be the same. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you have friends. Whatever it is, all of that out there is still the same. Now, you're looking at it differently, and you're processing it differently, but you're going to have to be sensitive to the way that you now are looking at the world, okay? And I think we're going to go back to the Reb's word, love, all right? Fox's whole thing. That in all of this, you're going to have to develop even a greater sense of love, both for yourself and for others, because that's part of the core of what it's going to take in order to navigate the waters, right? So just be aware. I mean, it's just an awareness thing that you're going to be different, That's going to be great. But don't.
Here comes
don't
the but.
minimize it. Don't minimize it. That's all I'm saying. Don't minimize the impact. I guess that's what I'm saying. Okay.
But what I'm hearing you say is just fully embody this new you into your life, and integrate it into your life, internal and external.
Right.
Right. I mean, we've been talking a lot about internally what's going on, but your relationships, your career, whatever you're doing, your health.
Yeah.
I mean, there's external components too. You got to incorporate it into everything. I remember, just a quick story. I remember there was a time, Mac will remember this, when I was being two different people depending on who I was around.
Yeah.
And one day, Mac says to me, really both of those are you. Like you can be both all the time. You don't have to just be this person in this group and this other person in this other group.
Wise counsel.
Right. And that really transformed me. Like that.
I remember that conversation, as a matter of fact.
And
Yeah.
it was amazing because it's like all of it was me, but I was thinking I needed to be a certain way with a certain group of people. And that wasn't the case. So it was, I tell that story to encourage everybody to look for that and make sure that you just realize you are you and integrate all of you into your life.
Absolutely. I love it. So we're going to end now. All right. And we're going to give you a challenge, right? We're going to give you a challenge. And I don't know whether or not you're going to be willing to accept this challenge or not, but this is your mission. Decide to go rogue. And when you do that, you got to find like-minded roguers, because that's going to make all the difference in the world. Then you need to strap on the armor, because you're going to take some, flack for it. Then storm the gates of ignorance and, lower consciousness. And I don't mean to storm it so that you're destroying it. You just need to unleash some of this, because it's the unthinkable for a lot of folks. But you need to unleash it, and you'll change everything. So, should you choose to accept it, right? But we will disavow any knowledge of you should it go south, right? But with that, great stuff tonight, guys. Thank you. All right.
I kind of like the choreography to go with the music. The closing thoughts and the choreography here was pretty fantastic.
That was good. You got to see it on the video.
Yeah, that's right. We got to get it on the video. Okay. Oh, man. Stu, good stuff, man. Reb, good
awesome.
stuff, brothers.
Thank you.
By the way, this episode will self-destruct in 30 seconds.
There it is. Yeah, that's right. If you see smoke, okay. You know?
That's okay. We're just breaking it down so we can rebuild it.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, boy. We're going to have quite an after party here. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, and we will see you on the flip side. Love y'all. Take care.